You know those little sounds people make when they talk? The ums, the likes, maybe,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're going to dive into those today.
We are, and you've definitely heard them, probably use them yourself all the time. They're just, well, part of how English sounds when it's actually spoken.
Right. And it's funny, isn't it? Because I think a lot of us feel like they're maybe bad habits, things we should try and, stop doing.
That's a really common way to think about them. But it's not the full story. I mean, sure, you don't want too many, but these fillers and discourse markers, they actually do some important jobs in conversation.
Okay, exactly. So that's our mission here,
Yeah.
right? To figure out why we use them, how they actually make speech sound, well, natural, and maybe how understanding them helps you sound, more confident, less robotic.
Yeah, less like reading something aloud.
Okay, so let's start basic. What exactly is a filler word?
Right. So think of them as short pauses, but not silent ones. Your brain needs a sec to figure out what's next, and instead of just silence, you fill that little gap with a sound, or maybe a short word.
Ah, so it's like hitting pause, but verbally.
Exactly, a non-silent pause. It keeps things flowing, sort of.
Okay, so what are the really common ones we hear?
Well, the absolute classics are maybe but then you also get things like, and, which function in a similar way sometimes.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Take a simple sentence. I think we should leave now. Pretty direct.
Yep.
How might that sound with, a couple of fillers?
It could easily become something like, I think we should, leave now.
Yeah, it changes the feel, doesn't it?
It does. It sounds maybe a bit more casual, where you're still thinking it through as you say it. Less abrupt.
Right, less like a command, more like a suggestion unfolding. Okay, so let's dig into some of these specific words, starting with the big ones.
Right. They're maybe the most basic.
What's their main job?
Honestly, just buying time for your brain. That's really it. They signal to whoever's listening, hang on, processing.
Okay, so give me an example. When might you hear one?
Someone might say, I don't really agree with that. It gives them a beat to formulate why they don't agree.
Right.
Or, I completely forgot what I was saying. It just marks that little mental blank spot.
But there's definitely a limit, right? You can overdo it.
Oh, absolutely. Too many ums and oos, and it starts to sound like you're really unsure or maybe unprepared.
Okay, so moderation. Now, what about like? That one feels huge.
It is huge. And yeah, especially prominent in, say, American English and often associated with younger speakers, though not exclusively.
It gets a bit of criticism sometimes.
It does, but is fascinating because it does a few different things now. It can definitely make speech sound more casual, more informal.
Okay.
But it can also act as a kind of hedge, softening what you're saying, making it less direct or precise.
Okay, examples. How does that work in practice?
You might hear, it was the best day ever. There adds a casual, maybe slightly exaggerated feel, or he was really late. Again, it's informal, maybe softens the directness of just saying he was very late.
Yeah.
Or even she's maybe 5'10", indicating an approximation.
Okay, I get that. But we've all heard someone who sounds like, they put between every other word.
Exactly. You definitely don't want to sound like. Yeah, you get it.
Oh, yeah.
So again, overuse is distracting.
Yeah.
But used intentionally, it shapes the tone. Think about, it was amazing, or she was so surprised. It just adds that certain flavor.
Okay, so those are fillers, buying time, adding flavor. Let's switch tracks slightly. Discourse markers, how are they different?
Right. So if fillers are often about pausing within a thought, discourse markers are more about managing the conversation flow between thoughts or sections.
Okay, so guiding the listener.
Exactly. They signal things like, okay, I'm changing topic now, or here comes a contrasting point, or this is my attitude towards what I'm about to say.
Little signposts.
Perfect word. Signposts in the conversation. Examples would be words like, well, actually, so, anyway. Even can function this way too.
Okay, let's look at some. Well. How is well used?
Well is super useful. Often comes at the start of a sentence when you're pausing to think about your response, or maybe gently disagreeing or shifting the direction a little.
So how might that sound?
You could say, well, I'm not sure about that. It signals a slight disagreement or hesitation. Or, well, let's give it a try. It can introduce a new plan or direction.
It feels like a softer way to start something new or potentially contrary. Got another couple?
Sure. Well, maybe tomorrow. softening a refusal or delay. Well, that's true. Acknowledging a point, maybe before adding your own perspective.
Makes sense. Next one. Actually, this seems more direct, like for corrections.
Primarily, yes. Actually usually flags up a correction or a clarification. Sometimes it introduces a fact that might be a little surprising to the listener.
Okay, so examples of actually. Actually, I meant Friday, not Thursday. Clear correction there.
Right.
Or maybe, actually, he's from Canada, not the U.S.
Yeah.
Providing a more accurate piece of information.
It adds that layer of precision. Can we hear a couple more?
Actually, I don't think that's right. A polite but firm way to disagree based on fact. Or, actually, we've already met. Maybe the other person didn't remember. It clarifies the situation.
Got it. Okay, last one we'll focus on. We said it can be a filler, but how does it work as a discourse marker?
Right. As a discourse marker, often works to kind of build connection. It checks if the listener understands or agrees, like saying, are you following me? Or you get what I mean, right?
Creating common ground.
Yeah. Or sometimes it pops up when you're momentarily searching for just the right word or phrase, appealing to the listener's understanding to fill the gap. So it connects you or covers a slight wobble in fluency.
Exactly. Like it was, kind of strange. You're hoping the listener can imagine that strangeness. Or if he's, really into photography, maybe you can't think of the exact word for his level of passion right then.
But again, like the others, you don't want to overuse it.
Yeah.
It can get a bit, annoying,
Precisely. Moderation is always the key. Too much, can sound like you're constantly seeking validation or can't quite articulate your thoughts.
Okay, great. That's a lot to take in. Can we do a quick flyby recap of these main ones?
Sure. So very briefly, mostly for thinking time pauses.
Got it.
Like adds casual tone or signals approximation, can be overused.
Yep.
Well, often starts a thought, signals a shift, or softens a statement, and
Right.
actually used for correction or clarification.
Okay.
And, seeks agreement, connection, or sometimes bridges a word search.
Perfect summary. Now, for people listening, maybe English learners who want to sound more natural using these, what are some good tips?
Well, first is just awareness. Start noticing them. But then practice. Try consciously putting them into your own speaking practice.
Oh.
Recording yourself is incredibly useful. You might be surprised what you hear back. You can identify if you're using them too much or maybe not enough in ways that would sound natural.
That's a really good idea. It's hard to judge yourself in real time.
It really is. And then aim to use them intentionally. Don't just sprinkle them randomly. Think, okay, here, I need a moment to think so an feels right, or I want this to sound more casual, so maybe a like fits here.
Purposeful use.
Exactly. They should help your flow and not just clutter it up.
Any other techniques?
Oh, absolutely. Listen actively to native speakers. In conversations, movies, podcasts like this one, pay attention to how they use these words, what's the context, what's their tone, and then try shadowing.
Shadowing.
Yeah, you listen to a short phrase or sentence, pause, and then repeat it exactly as you heard it, trying to copy the rhythm, the intonation, and yes, the fillers and markers.
So you're really internalizing the music of the language.
Precisely. It helps you get that natural cadence, that flow.
Okay, so wrapping up, it sounds like sounding natural isn't about, perfect textbook English all the time.
Not at all.
It's more about sounding real, relaxed, clear.
Yeah.
And these little words, used well, are actually part of that.
They absolutely are. So next time you hear someone go, well, I guess, you'll have a better idea of the work those little words are actually doing behind the scenes.
Absolutely. Appreciating the texture of real speech.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's something final for you, the listener, to think about.
Really tune your ear. When you listen to English conversations, don't just track the topic. Listen for how people speak. Where the ums and wells and likes pop up. Are they buying time, softening something, changing gear? Just notice how native speakers use these tools in different situations. That can unlock a whole new level of understanding for sounding natural and confident yourself.